Hi everybody. I wanted to make this video to introduce you to animation in Photoshop. And I thought that this first video should be about trying to get you familiarized with the overall layout of the buttons and options in the program. I know when I first started animation, it startled me a little bit, and I had a hard time figuring out what different things were or what they did. So I think this basic first little video would be helpful. So on the screen you will see a picture of a friend of mine. I thought ahead of time, which could help, what I wanted to have this photo become. So I imagined these balloons at the bottom, maybe floating in from the top, and I thought, well, that's not enough, so what else could I do with this? So I thought, well, maybe this present could do something, maybe zoom in or out or around or something. Another option would be maybe to float her hair a bit, like if there were wind blowing or her jacket blowing, or maybe even her leg kicking up in the air, kicking one of these balloons. So you can pretty much be creative as you want, as long as you have some sort of plan, and once you get acquainted with how to do animation in Photoshop, it's a really fun process to do. So the very first thing that you want to do to prepare is to, of course, think about where you want to go with this, get your layers ready to go. If you need to erase things, hide things, duplicate layers, get all that ready to go. And then once you have all your layers ready, then you need to make sure that every single layer is a smart object. And the way you know that it's a smart object is if it has a symbol in the bottom right corner. If it doesn't, then you need to right click on the layer and make sure to convert to smart object. So once you have all of those converted to smart objects, then in order to get this box down here, the timeline, you're going to go to Window and then Timeline. And the very first time you do this, you're going to get a prompt that looks like this here. It says you're going to choose the option that says Create Video Timeline. And once you choose that option, then you're going to get something that looks a lot more like what I have on my screen. So if you want to kind of zoom in and get a better look, you can hover over this area and stretch it. You can also shrink it back down when you don't need it anymore. So let's get a better look at this. So as you can see, I have named all of my layers, which will help you a lot in the end to not get confused and keep organized. Make sure you're manipulating the right layer. These little turn down arrows are going to pull up the exact same options. These are the options. You have transform, opacity, or style. These purple bars are like symbolizing when this layer shows up and when it goes away or when it stops. Usually these layers are kept around the same length because you normally want all your layers to be, there at all times. But every once in a while you'll want that to change. So if that's the case, then in order to change, if you want it to come in much later, well, you can grab the end and shrink it down. So now this pink balloon, for instance, won't show up until here. Or if you want it to go away before the rest of these layers, so you grab the other end, shrink it down, and it'll disappear here. So that's one thing that you can do. Another, let's see, would be these options. You have transform, opacity, or style. And if you click on this stopwatch, you'll pull up these options. This little yellow diamond is called a keyframe. And these keyframes can be placed all along this timeline when you want a change to happen. So your very first initial keyframe needs to be placed before a change happens. So I think of this very first keyframe as if I was creating some sort of freeze frame, taking a picture of it, like this is how you want your layer to look like at the beginning, before any animation or any animations are applied, and the very last keyframe, like on this layer for example has lots, this last keyframe is what you want the layer to look like at the end after the animations have played through. So this is what it looks like when it starts. A change happens here, 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 and then ends looking this way at the end. And then if you have it on playback, it'll loop back around and start all over again. It'll be a continuous loop. Some other helpful buttons would be this little mountain. As you can tell, this can get really busy really fast, especially if you're adding all sorts of animations. They're going to get really close and tight together, so if you really need to get in there, you can zoom way in to the frames or zoom out. Besides, let's see, transforming, you can do options like edit, under edit and then transform. You have all these different options you can do. You can do scaling, rotating, skewing, distorting, and changing the perspective on that layer. Opacity, of course, you can go from 0 to 100%, so you can start something basically just completely gone and make it show up and then make it disappear again. Let's see, you have a playback button here. You can stop it at any time. This little slider is helpful to get it right down to the second of where you want a change to happen. This little gear, you can pull that down and make sure that this little check mark next to loop playback is on, and it'll just continuously loop back over and over again. Okay, so I think that is all we're going to be covering for just your basics. I want to go ahead and give you a little sneak peek at the animation that I made with this photograph. It was done roughly and fairly quickly, just to give you an idea, and we'll be going over it in more detail in the next video. So here it is. Alright, well I look forward to showing you how to do this with your own photographs. Thank you.